thing I like this little image here today to kind of summarise what we'll try and do. So the key focus and the centre of it is leadership. We're here to motivate you to think about leadership, think about yourself, think about your skills, and to also realise that by developing your leadership skills, you will lead and contribute to your success. And the other key word that I thought was great in this particular one, which I found on the internet, was team, because I think that we need to think about leaderships as someone who is being able to influence others and also to work with others, because one of the most important things about leadership is our ability to communicate and to influence. And while we won't all end up being the leader as the top leader, but we will all need to be leaders within teams. So I think that it's very valuable to think of them all together. One of the things we want to just kind of think about first is the concept of leadership versus management. So this is a great quote from Peter Drucker, and he'd be an expert in this area. Management is doing things right, and leadership is doing the right things. So where, say for example, you have a manager and he has a very clear goal, something to achieve. Many of you who are doing business here would have worked, have all the theories and knowledge about effective management. He may be using resources in terms of people, suppliers, technology to get a job done. But the leader might be the one looking beyond that and saying, well, what are we going to do? Where are we going to position ourselves in the future? And looking in terms of vision. So the leadership is looking to see, well, are we doing the right thing? Is this the kind of business we want to be in? Or if it's a leader in a different type of scenario, it might be a leader here, say for example here in the university, looking to see have we got the right type of schools, should we be adding something? It could be a leader in the sports field. So I think if you have a think about that, so tonight we're not going to talk about management as in managing people. It's more about looking at the leader and the leader within. Eisenhower, president of the US, I hope I'm right, was his view on leadership is it's the art of getting someone else to do something that you want done because he wants to do it. So effectively, as I was saying earlier, it's about influence, and it's about being able to motivate others and to bring them along with your vision, your idea of where you want to go, and to actually motivate people to want to do it, and also really to believe that it is their own idea. So effectively, there's a lot of skills needed to actually encourage somebody to want to do what you want to do. And so that's one of the big things about leadership. So one thing I did was I had a look to see through all the internet and books, and what I ended up finding was mountains of different definitions of what a leader is, what leadership qualities are, leadership models. But one thing I did was I just pulled a number of the ones that were kind of core to all of the different types of articles and things. So it is valuable to read, but the most important thing is to practice, of course. And all of these you've actually said. So self-belief, self-awareness, and self-management. I think, say in the self-management there, you were saying about admitting mistakes, you were saying about consistency. The rest of you, others had said about how important it is to be clear on what it is you're trying to achieve or your vision. I think to have a drive for improvement and a willingness to be flexible. So say for example, if you were developing a number of your different leadership skills, you would have that willingness to be flexible and deal with different people while you're still being yourself and still being true to who you are. You can have a wide range of interpersonal skills to deal with different scenarios. Having a vision, you were talking there about charisma and passion and having a clear idea as to what it is you want to achieve. The use of strategic thinking, so you need someone who can be a strategic thinker and can be a decision maker, which you've mentioned. And leading change through people. That was one of the points as well that you mentioned, how important it is to lead the change, to understand and have a vision for it, and then being able to lead it, and as we saw earlier, making people want to do it, making them do what you want them to do. But I was thinking that at the moment where you're full-time students, some of the opportunities and ways for you to actually develop your leadership skills would be through college activities, societies. It might be, when I was in DCU, I know we had lots of different group projects to do, individual projects, but certainly the group projects that were very demanding, and often someone does need to take the lead in these. I know you all do internships as part of your degree. You may have part-time jobs already or have done work experience, and also the social activities and sports, plus many others.
So the nature of my work lends itself quite well to leadership because in a sense, we have to lead these companies and our clients in maybe a new direction. If a business is undergoing a lot of change, we help them through that change journey. But I wanted to talk a little bit about myself in DCU and my own experience in leadership as a student. So when I came in here first year, I certainly would not have considered myself a leader at all. But I was very interested in music. And I played the drums and the Drama Society were running a production of West Side Story in my first year. And I saw an opportunity that they needed a percussionist. So I signed up for it and I said, this looks great. And I got to meet a very, very interesting group of people from drama, from music, and they kind of opened my eyes to society life. Now, are many of you involved in clubs and societies here? Okay, that's good. A lot of you are. Brilliant. So you're definitely leaders in that case. But again, it was completely new to me, and I said, okay, that sounds good. So one of the people involved in it said, there's an opportunity to join the committee next year. Would you like to do it? And I said, okay. I didn't really know what a committee was. Didn't understand what minutes were, agendas. It was all completely new. But I said, I'll go along, I'll do it anyway. So I joined the Music Society as a treasurer, and that was a great experience, just to sit in a room, have a meeting like that. Absolutely invaluable. Then when you go to work, you can bring that experience with you, and it always becomes so naturally that you don't even think twice about it by the time you hit the workplace. So if you can do that while you're in college, I definitely absolutely recommend it. And again, when I went to work then in Accenture for my interview, that's what I spoke about all the time, because while it's very important to do well in your exams and get a good degree, essentially that doesn't mark you as hugely different to anyone else. So in a class like business studies, you have potentially 300 people and everyone's graduating and everyone's doing quite well. So how do you mark yourself out to be different? And that's why I got involved in the clubs and societies here and learned those leadership skills and talked about the leadership skills that I developed through my involvement in clubs and societies, and especially the Union program. And I know Murren has been a great driving force behind the Union program here. But if you're not in it, and there's an opportunity to get in it now at this stage, I would absolutely encourage you to do so. It's something very unique to DCU. No other college in Ireland has it. It's very progressive. It puts us right up there with the top American universities in terms of our way of thinking around this. And employers love it. So when you go out there, I absolutely encourage you to do the Union module if you can, and to talk about the skills and experience you've gained in clubs and societies.
I looked over some papers I'd studied before on leadership just to put them in context, and the one I ended up going back to was the one called What Makes a Leader by a guy called Daniel Goleman. And his paper was all about a thing called emotional intelligence. And so it's kind of a catch-all term, which covers like self-awareness, self-discipline, motivation, empathy, which Tracy touched on, and social skills. All of which Brian would have absorbed, for example, in his society work. But if I look back on the most powerful leaders I came across in any company I've been in, and I worked for multinationals for 20 years. I lived in Japan, in Germany, in the States, in the UK, and in Ireland, of course. But all of the really good leaders that I came across had very good emotional intelligence. And Goleman points out that to be successful in business, for example, a threshold level of intelligence is needed. For example, if you're going to work as an engineer, then you need to qualify as an engineer to demonstrate that you've passed the thing. But the really successful people are the people who have high levels of emotional intelligence. Those are the people who really rise up through the organization. To be proactive, I think it does help to make a plan. It doesn't have to be set in stone, but if you make a plan and come back to it and tune it over time. I would say probably the most important piece of advice I would give to my younger self is to be good at what you do. Even what I read about the HR space right now, what people are going to value in the future is skills. And they're going to pay attention to those much more than other things. For example, your track record or your age. And if there's a need for like a Java programmer, and you for example, and you have those skills, and then you'll get the job as opposed to somebody who has experience but doesn't have those skills. So be good at what you do. I think that's a great platform for leadership.
So I really have just a few things to summarise there. Is that one question I have is like, is one type of leader better than another? Because as I said, I looked, there was loads of different models and types of managers, leaders. Would anyone have a view on that?
I think it depends on the situation.
Yeah, exactly. So there isn't, no one type is better than another, because you, as we were saying all the time, you have to be true to yourself and build on your own skills. So me as a leader could be very effective and be a very different type of leader, for example, than you, or Brian, or Jared, or Muireann. And yet we all have maybe over time developed skills and can still keep developing them, of course. So it doesn't make, the good thing is it means you can develop your range of skills. And to lead effectively, you need to be true to who you are. I looked at there's some models there: relational, participatory, visionary. There's many others, and it is worth researching them. Just to have a look and have a read. The internet is so accessible. We were saying earlier as well, you don't have to be the leader to lead. So just be open-minded about the types of opportunities you can use to develop your leadership skills. Have the confidence to try new things. It could be something, it doesn't necessarily have to be in a job scenario to do it. Take any opportunities, and more important, make opportunities, which is what Brian was saying today. I think is to make the opportunities and to find ways that you can develop yourself. And it could even be by doing a new sport. It doesn't necessarily have to all be business focused, I think really what I'd love to say is that you are our future leaders. We're still leaders as well. We're young, and we'll be here for a long time. But to wish you all well, and to say that it does take time and personal commitment. It's worth checking out personality profiling if you get chances, or do them on the internet, reading things, and getting ideas and feedback from people, exploring new things, and it is a very rewarding, lifelong activity. So thank you very much. We're delighted to see you.